Hello everyone and welcome. Today we're going to look at some of the string method books. You'll recall that yesterday, our last class meeting, that we looked at a number of the band method books. I'd like to just draw your attention to the fact that many of the same things that are available for band are also available for strings. You'll notice here we have Essential Elements 2000 Strings Book 1, Book 2, Book 3, exactly the same thing we had for band. You'll find numerous others that are the same as well. This Measures of Success was one that we looked at for bands. Here's one called New Directions for Strings 1 and 2. Those are probably uniquely for strings. Here's one called Orchestral Expressions, Book 1 and 2. Sound Innovations, of course, are available for band and orchestra. And as you look further here, you'll see a String Basics Book 1, 2, and 3, and a String Explorer. Those are currently all of the string method books that are available in Smart Music. This is not to say that this is all of the string method books that there are, but it's a pretty good collection. All right, I'd just like to take you quickly here to a couple of areas and have a quick look at this. This is the Essential Element 2000s for string, and it's a table of contents. And you'll notice that with the string instruments, as opposed to the band instruments, one of the things that happens here is we start learning open strings, open D, open A, then we do the twos a team. This is pretty similar to what we were doing with the band instruments, but with the band instruments we were playing scale degrees, whereas with the string instruments we're playing two different open strings. Now, it doesn't take long, as you see here, when they start while the book begins to add additional notes like G, F sharp, E, and D. So now we've got D, E, F sharp, G, and A, 5 notes, and so we also begin immediately playing a good number of 5-note pieces and practicing that as well. As I scroll through this, you can just see that it's pretty much the same principle as we had with our band instruments. Once we learn 5 notes, we practice a lot of 5-note songs. We learn additional notes. During this process, we learn bowing techniques and so on. I'm just going to scroll through this, and you can pause it and look at it, study it, think about what each of these things would be. I think that most people will recognize the melodies that are found here and recognize immediately the qualities of those songs, know that they're 5-note songs or 6-note songs, and so on. Notice that we have both major and minor materials in Book 1, and you'll notice that there are a much larger number of materials in Book 1 than there for the strings than there are in Book 1 for the band instruments. Notice at the end you'll have some bonus tracks, and so there you have it. If I were to let's just open up one of these down at the end. So we'll take this last one, the Minuet number 2 solo. I'll double click on that and open it. With the band method books and string method books, one of the great things that happens is that in Smart Music you have both the music notation as well as the accompaniment parts, if there would be any accompaniment part. This particular one does not have accompaniment parts, but if there is an accompaniment part written, it would be included in here as well. That's one of the great features of many of the method books also, is the fact that they have accompaniment books included, or solos included with accompaniments. Okay, let's back up a little bit now and have a look, if you would. Oh, by the way, we're looking at the cello music, I think, here. But let's back up here a little bit and take a look at something else. So method books, strings, we've seen beginning band method, Essential Elements 2000, Book 1, Book 2, Book 3. We could open each of these, but it would really bog us down a little bit. So let's just jump over to Measures of Success for String Orchestra, Book 1. And here are the materials that are available here. Dare to D, Amazing. Notice that they're starting also with the same two open strings as before. You'll notice that they're also beginning to add the notes such as D and E. They practice 2-note songs, and then they continue that process learning additional notes and practicing those. I'm just scrolling through this so that you can see the tunes that are used here in Book 1 of the Measures of Success for String Orchestra. And as with the other string method book, you will notice that there is a much greater depth of repertoire available in the Book 1 as opposed to the band method books. Some of the band method books could take some lessons from the way that these are organized. Okay, let's navigate to yet another and have a quick look at it. So browse all music, click on the method books, click on strings. We've looked at essential elements, we've looked at measures of success. I don't mean to discriminate in any way against any of these, but we won't have time to look at every single thing here. Let's go to orchestra expressions, Book 1. Still waiting on that to download. Rocking on D, rocking on A. Notice that these folks borrow heavily from one another, and I'm just scrolling through here so that you can see the songs that are listed. You will notice that once again you're playing D, you're playing E. You're playing a lot of the same tunes that were found in the previous books. We're putting some accidentals in here as well. Chromatic calisthenics. And the final piece here is a little handle piece, music for the Royal Fireworks. Just load that one up. Okay, and I'm just going to hit play on this one. And I'll go ahead and stop that. I think you get the idea. Remarkably, it picked up some green notes as though they were correct, even though no one was performing that. I can only suggest that it might be overtones or something like that that were actually passed over from the accompaniment. There shouldn't have been any notes correct. And you'll notice that the assessment did detect that because there were so many missing notes and bad notes that 20% is the score that the student would have received for that assessment. Okay, I'm going to navigate again, and don't know that it's necessary that we would go to each and every one of these and look at it, but if anybody's interested in drilling deeper or seeing more of the kinds of materials that are available, certainly I'm happy to take you through any of these that in which you might be interested. The sound innovations for string orchestra, I'm going to click on that one, take you into just a little bit of it. We'll just quickly browse through the index, and then we'll do the same for a few more of these. So without comment, you can notice Boil Them Cabbage Down really seems to be a pretty popular tune, as does Good King Wenceslas and Jingle Bells. I've seen a number of those many times. Little Liza Jane, of course, is a popular tune. Haydn Surprise Symphony, theme and variations on Baba Black Sheep. I should mention to you that the Suzuki approach to teaching strings is vastly different than anything that you will find in any of these particular books, but the idea of theme and variations on Twinkle Twinkle Little Star or Baa Baa Black Sheep is something that is highly ingrained in the learning of music with a number of string students. Here, their final tune, their solo, is Chorus from Judas Maccabeus. And while that piano accompaniment is absolutely wonderful, it's not nearly as much fun as the style of the previous song that we were listening to. Okay, navigating backward again. Browse all music, method books, strings, and that was the Sound Innovations String Basics book. Here we go. And then we'll do String Explorer and we'll be done. So D's and A's, hello half notes, crazy counting, first finger E, F sharp, fiddling. The same process for learning stringed instruments is pretty much found in each and every one of these beginning band method books or beginning orchestra method books. This is the cello book, but if we were to switch over to the violin book, it would be exactly the same. D's and A's, open, introduce the E string, introduce F sharp, and I'm sure Good King Wenceslas is in here, as are many of the other familiar 5 and 6 note songs. And take you down to the end of this. So I think at this point you probably get the idea. There's barely any point in looking at the last one, just simply because we know that it is going to be very consistent with the exact kind of thing that we've been having before. I think that if you are called upon to make a decision about these orchestra method books or string method books, the truth of the matter is you probably can't go wrong with any one of them, because they are all fundamentally taking the same approach. The A ladder, I'm sure I missed the D ladder up at the top. Plucking the D scale, plucking down the D scale, a crop of sugar beets. Okay, Mary Had a Little Lamb accompaniment, oats and peas and beans, boil them cabbage down. So very similar to what we had seen before. If we go down to the very last solo or advanced activity, well, this one's kind of interesting. It just I'm curious what this French folk song is, so let me just have a quick look at that. All right, let's listen. Okay, so this is just purely an accompaniment, and it's a boom chuck chuck type of accompaniment. Obviously, as you know, with all these smart music things, you really should be singing or playing these. I believe this is a cello part as well. It's bass clef. I'll sing it and we'll just see what we get here. Da 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 da. Da 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 dee da da dee da 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 tia da da dee tia da dee tia da da tia ba da da tia da da tia da dee tia. All right, let's see how we scored on that one. Okay, well, a few wrong notes in there. I think that my breathing actually kind of threw these off, and so I understand why I missed each of those. And maybe it's at the end of the phrase or didn't sustain long enough or that type of thing is why I missed these as well. The assessment that they gave me for that performance was 82%, so hey, I'm not happy with that at all. I am much more motivated to go back and practice again and continue to improve that, as your students will be, we hope, as well. So having the opportunity to encourage them to practice in a technology environment like this is always a great asset. Okay, that's all we're doing today. Thank you so much.